to mute.
Love to pray out loud.
I was getting ready to call on you, girlfriend, if you hadn't said anything. It's all good.
So I invite you all to just take a nice deep breath, fully aware that what you're breathing in is God. And what's doing the breathing is God. There really is only one life. And it is infinite and eternal, and it is expressing in an infinite number of ways, many of them right here on this call, each one beautiful and unique and wonderful. Each one necessary to the successful evolution of the world. And each one open to growth and expansion and discovery. And that's why we're here, for growth and expansion and discovery. And so I give thanks for that ability and for that availability to each of us right here, right now. And I invite you to anchor this with me by repeating together. So it is.
And so it is. So it is. Thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Sherry. Appreciate you. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to Thought Leader Thursday. We did move it up 1 week, and so thank you so much for all of you knowing that and being here a week earlier than we normally are. And we have a lovely, lovely guest today, Eamon Duffy, and I was just really intrigued when I heard about him because there's not a lot going on that I'm aware of as a minister, as a New Thought minister. There's not a lot going on for guys, for men, and yeah, I was just really excited to hear that he was doing groups and things like that for New Thought men, and so I really wanted him to come on and talk about his ministry and kind of what got him going and how it goes, and just a number of questions. But he is the spiritual director of the New Thought men's community. And he's here to support wholeness through heart and soul healing. And so he's found a deep spiritual connection in his early 20s with the Mile High Church, which I've heard a great deal about. I've not been there. Is that Denver? Is Mile High City, Denver?
Yeah, Lakewood, Colorado.
Okay, yeah. I hear great things about that. And he also discovered men's soul work, which I'm really interested in hearing about that. So together over the last 30 years, his teachings has had a profound and foundational healing effect in his life. So he's a licensed New Thought minister, and he has led hundreds of men's groups, from individual small to major retreats. You just finished a retreat not too long ago. Is that right, Eamon? Yeah, Eamon. So the summit, right. So I'm excited to have him here today. He's going to be talking about his men's thought, and really whatever you'd like to talk about, and hopefully the focus will be about the men's community. But also you'll be doing a workshop this coming Saturday, so you probably throw a little bit about that in as well.
So much exciting stuff going on.
So many. I'm telling you, the universe is abundant in so many ways.
Indeed.
So it's just really happy. I'm just going to turn it over to you, Emma, for you to say whatever you'd like to say, and I don't think there'll be a need to fill in the gaps. I'm pretty sure you know what you want to talk about. So
yes,
the floor is yours.
We as ministers have the gift of gab, apparently. So, well, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you, Pjae. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. It's an honor to be on New Thought Thursday, New Thought Leader Thursday, and I just joined ANTN this year, and just went to the ANTN retreat, and so got to meet so many wonderful people. And it's just when you find your place, you find your place. And I feel like this is definitely my place and our place as a community, as well as the New Thought men's community. So yes, men's soul work. That has been, well, I've been doing both for over 30 years. New Thought philosophy, been active in that, and as well as kind of the mytho-poetic tradition of men's work, kind of the Robert Pjae and many others that started long time ago, a while back. So I have loved doing both. I mean, I can't imagine my life without these two things. I'm sure many of us can relate. Like, those are the things that really draw us, this New Thought philosophy that has changed my life, saved my life, made my life into what it is today. which is that that joy and that love, that connection of community and uplifting all of those good things, the beneficial things in life, from our abundance, our joy, our happiness, opening our hearts and opening our minds to these greater possibilities. And also to acknowledge, hey, there can be some challenging times too. For some in our community, the election was a little bit of a challenge, and understandably so. Some people are scared and concerned about the future, and that's understandable. So I just wanted to acknowledge that on the onset, because we are going through change. And when we look at that, for me, I like to look at it in a bigger context of the archetypal context of what's going on. And I think there is this evolution that we as human beings, for sure, but we also as men are going through to get in that next spiral upwards. It has kind of been for the last, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, the person with the biggest stick, or me protecting the tribe, which can and has turned kind of dysfunctional in our modern society of this old way of masculinity. And so as we examine this, as we do in New Thought, we go to the inner life and the inner world and say, what within me wants to grow? What within me wants to expand and become this greater expression? Be a more loving, be a more kind, be a more generous and giving, be a more mature man in the world. At least for me, seeking those answers and seeking that desire to not only do the consciousness work for myself to grow in those areas and heal in those areas, but also for us as a collective, to grow that greater consciousness of masculinity on this planet Earth at this particular time. So I think as we continue to expand and grow as the New Thought men's community, that is our intention, is to really, our vision is to empower wholeness. And that, I think that's the answer, to a certain extent for us as individuals and for us collectively as the oneness, to be able to find those places in which we get to be our authentic selves. We get to explore who we are, being these diverse and beautiful and amazing human beings on this planet Earth at this time, but also, what we're here to do as the collective, what we're here to do as a planet of 8 billion people, and what we're here to do as a community of New Thought, which is hold that high vision. That's what I love about this community. That's why this is my place. You are my people. I am yours. This is the greatest. This is the greatest thing that I've ever run across as far as the high vision, as far as organizations in my life. And I've looked at a lot of different spiritual paths. That was my early exploration in my 20s, which was wonderful. But ultimately found this, and this is it. This is the thing. We are the light holders. We are the bringers of that greater possibility. And that's what I love about this philosophy. So, yeah, I think, so to delve into a little bit more about what the New Thought men's community is about and what we do. We have some annual events. We have a summit, as Pjae mentioned, that's free and it's available for everybody in September. We have a men's leadership conference. We have a men's gathering, and we also have a renew year event. So it's the beginning of the new year. And that one's also open to men and women. So those are some of our kind of annual events that we want to do to promote, guys getting together and doing this inner work. And then we have some spiritual circles online that we also do, which is at the core and the foundation of the work that happens. I believe in this soul work, whether it's men's groups or women's groups, to be able to step into that safe space that authentic space where we get to show up as our full selves and really be able to explore the deeper nature, not only the spiritual nature, but the human nature of us, and to really get the support in those, whether it's from every day-to-day challenges in relationship, challenges in our spiritual growth, challenges with addiction, challenges, there's plenty of challenges going on these days, that we could all use a little bit of support. And for me, that I was in a men's group for 25 years, and personally, and so with these men, I got to explore like you can imagine, 25 years, we explored just about anything you could talk about. And it was such a joy because, it allowed me to have greater understanding and greater connection with healthy men in my life. And that really, I think, shifted a lot of things for me. Plus, in an actual group like that, in men's groups, we get to practice skills, right? We get to practice listening skills. We get to practice communication skills. We get to practice supporting each other and receiving that support too. Sometimes we give so much, give and give and give, as is our, some of our natures, most of our natures, I would believe. But we're really expanding and growing into this experience of greater love, greater happiness, greater fulfillment, all of those things. And so for me, being in men's group opened me up to all of that stuff, especially creativity and co-creativity. I never thought I'd write a book, and I wrote a book. I never thought I'd record music, and I recorded music, because there were men in that group who did all those things, who broke that glass ceiling for me, who modeled what healthy masculinity was like and creative masculinity was like. And so, to those guys, my moon bellies, I love them, and I still do, even though we're not together as a group anymore. There still is that connection, and I could call up any of them and say, hey, I need support right now.
What did you call them? You say moon bellies?
The moon bellies. That was the name of our group, the Moon Belly Clan. So it was it was a fun group, and over 25 years, we had guys join and guys leave. We had guys pass,
Sure.
We had guys go through relationship challenges, health challenges. Just about everything you could say or you could think of in this human experience. And it was a beautiful, eye-opening experience of being able to show up for other men in my life that I admired, that supported me, and that I wanted to support. Okay. And so that's kind of what we do. Most of what we do is online. But also the other piece is with the summit, with us doing our first annual summit. It'll be an annual event.
Oh, that was the first one. Okay.
So what we've done with this content is, and we had 23 amazing speakers that really shared very intimately about something that they were passionate about. Forgiveness, happiness, abundance, all kinds of new thought stuff.
Okay.
And so what we're doing with that is we're taking those sharings, as well as we recorded a podcast which kind of goes deeper into their sharing, which was fun. And we're making those available to communities, so a community can join. And Pjae, you mentioned your community was wanting to start a men's group, and I'm like, great.
Well, no, they did not. I came to them, and I wanted them to. No. I want them to, because I don't know what else the guys are doing. You know what I mean? I was just trying to support them, and part of the when I broached the topic, I was already kind of getting pushback about how we've already tried that, and what you tried is like little barbecue gatherings and things like that, and I thought, well, no, this is going to be. I'm not talking about gathering to the barbecue and have fire. I'm talking unless you're talking about inner fire. So I really wanted to talk with you here about how to tell them what's different, what you guys are doing that would be appealing for them. Why would they want to join it? That's a question I need to be able to ask, or even have you come talk about it, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, because from a male point of view.
Yeah, I think it's important for me, and I can really only speak to myself and my own experience,
Sure,
but for
sure.
me, it was so enriching to my life, for all the previous reasons I've mentioned, that I can't imagine myself without a group of men. And right now, men are going through challenges. I mean, we as people are going through challenges.
Sure.
Let's be clear. But men are going through challenges. Over 100 men a day commit suicide.
I
20
did not know
times
that.
that. 2,000 attempt suicide every single day. So I think that's just one of the statistics that wonderful educator Richard Reeves goes into, which I won't. But there's so many challenges that we have, and men need a place to come and be honest and be clear and to engage their own inner exploration and inner growth. And as wonderful as it is to get together and have a barbecue or do, food together as men, I mean, I personally love food. So yeah, I would show up to that. But then afterwards, let's sit in circle.
Right.
Let's call in the sacred space. Let's
Yeah.
sit across from each other and say, yeah, hey, you know what? Um, I'm a little challenged right now with where I'm at. Maybe I'm financially challenged or challenged in my relationship or challenged in my own personal growth or challenged with my anger or my pain. All of these things that we as men really need to do. And I would say need to do, but there should be the desire to do it. But
Right.
I think so many are like, yeah, oh, I should do that. But it's so easy to push that back and push that off. But
Yeah.
if we truly want to be a part of living the magnificent life, living this joyous life, living this full life that the soul calls to us to live, then I think this is imperative exploration. And it's that inner exploration that we need to do. Nobody can do it for us,
Correct.
but we
Correct.
can do it as a circle and as a community. So we provide this, this online experience that guys can go in. They can choose a topic and they can have a little treatment and they can do a little check-in and how's everybody doing. And then they can watch this 20-minute or so video and have a nice discussion about it. And those are the conversations that allow us to then go deeper and deeper.
I got it. I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
into that growth, into that understanding, into that inner exploration, into that soul exploration that we're really seeking on some level, right? We can
Yeah.
get so wrapped up in this world, and all of it, myself for sure included. Like, I mean, I sometimes just have to say, okay, enough YouTube, enough screen time, enough of the electronic, the technology. I have to go and sit. And I'm fortunate enough to live in the mountains of Colorado. And so I just have to go outside or look outside and there's
So,
that breath. There's that
do you
moment.
do you feel like, Iman, that the 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 defining role, or whatever, of the men's roles is shifting, and that there are men who are, because all I can do is talk from obviously outside the role, um, but it just seems over the times that men have had to, as you first talked about when you came on board, be the person who keeps the house safe and be strong, and all of the things that have been the normal men's role. And so to ask them to come to a group like this and now share from this emotional space, do you find that's disruptive, or that, I'm not even disruptive, that's not the word I want to use, but you have some issues with getting guys to open up and actually speak in this way, or are they coming because that's what they want to do,
Um,
or both?
yeah, I think there's as many reasons as there are, guys showing up. So from that perspective, but yeah, there are guys who are, okay, I'm either going to die this week, I'm going to kill myself, or I'm going to show up to this group. It's
Okay.
life or it's death situation. I'm really struggling right now. I just went through whatever it was, a job loss, a divorce, a majorly shaking of the foundational understanding of who we are as men, or who that
Yeah.
individual is as a man. And then we also have men who are like, okay, I'm going to show up. I'm not happy about it, but I'm going to show up with a little resistance, and that's fine. I
Yeah.
mean, I was that way at first. I was like, excited, but also very trepidatious and
Right. Right.
nervous about, who are these guys? Where are they showing up? And what's going on here? I don't know the context. I don't
Right.
know if this is safe.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's why for me to speak to safety very first, to speak to
Okay.
being able to create through our agreements and through other processes, the
Very
safety
good.
that is required for us to be able to show up in our authentic selves. And it happens over time. That's why I said I was in a men's group for 25 years. I wasn't in a men's group for 6 months. I wasn't in, it's like, oh, I tried meditation a few times and it didn't work. It's about coming back over and over and over again. It's about sitting and being and learning to connect and communicate with other men, which gives us those skills because of the way that the group is set up, which gives us those listening skills, which gives us those communication skills, which gives us those conflict skills. We had a saying in my men's group, if you get heated, you got to stay seated. Um,
Ooh.
and that's the truth. Guys do one of two things. It's fight, they stand up and they bully, or it's flight. They stand up and run for the door, typically when the triggers happen. And so for me, I've been in that situation many times in that group, and they're like, okay, dude, we got you. Sit down. We're gonna, have a dialogue between you and this other person, or we're gonna help you go through the inner experience of whatever is going on. We can all see you're pretty triggered right now. And so, those are the moments where the true healing happens, or the tears, to allow someone to just have a good cry, and not
Yeah.
offer them the tissue and not touch them, and allow them to sit in that
Okay.
space and to
Yeah.
get the tears all the way through the cycle. We as men almost never get the tears through the whole cycle. It's like, no,
Yeah.
shut that down, shut that down.
Yes. Yes.
Whether
Yeah.
it's
That
from
makes sense.
ourselves or communication or unconscious communication from other
Right.
people. And
Right.
so to consider this, like, we have shoved those emotions down our whole lives. We are trained from 2 or 4 or 6 years old,
Yeah.
before we even go into school, that boys don't cry. All of those things is a
Yeah.
training ground for us as men, and reinforced by society, reinforced by parents, reinforced by
Yeah.
all of the systems that are in place that say,
Yeah.
shut it down.
Yeah.
No,
Shut this down.
don't look at that. You have to
Yeah.
be the warrior. You have to be the strong one. You have to
Yeah.
be, yeah, you can't show weakness because of
Yeah.
competition between men. Oh, you can't
Yeah.
show that weakness. That's somebody's going to get you right there. And,
Right.
you know, and that's true to a certain extent. That's why we have to create that safe space. That's why we have to go outside of the normal, societal, time and experience, into this sacred space, into this
Beautiful.
kind space, into this heart space, for us as
Mhm.
men to feel safe, to then go, yeah, what I'm feeling is,
Okay. Yeah.
because oftentimes that gets shut down very quickly, even if
Yeah.
it's a
It does.
positive
Yeah. I
emotion.
agree.
you
Yeah,
know?
I
And
agree.
uh, so that's why embracing our wholeness, that's why, or empowering wholeness and embracing that wholeness for us as men, but us as human beings, right? To think that,
Yeah,
oh, guys are thinkers, guys are, doers, and women are, feelers and soul
emoters.
spiritual. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous. We're
it
whole
is.
human beings. We all need all of that to
Right,
be a whole individual. And so I think instead of putting, as society does, put the roles on, you're in this role, you're in this role, you're in this role. The color of your skin is this, and so you're in this role. Your sexual orientation is this, you're in this role. I think this is the thing that is starting to break down, is for us to say, I'm in this role. No,
right.
I'm a whole
Yeah,
human being,
right.
and I get to
Right.
express and experience the full spectrum of what that is.
Of life, right. Eamon, I'd like to, if it's okay with you, I would like to open it up for any comments or questions that people might have. I know Edwina had a question. I think I put it in the chat, but that might not be correct, Edwina.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you, Michelle, to go ahead and go and do that from here. I need to take off, and I have another appointment. I apologize for that, but Michelle's going to take over. And if
Okay.
anybody has any questions, please raise your hand, and I will see you next time. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Pjae.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Pjae.
Bye, bye, babies.
Hi,
Thank you.
PJ.
So Gary, is that a hand or are you just statically waving?
That's a hand.
Okay, good. Perfect.
Hi, everybody, and hi, Eamon. This is great
Hello.
information. I'm interested in hearing some of your tips for creating that safe space, be it in creating a new men's group or welcoming new members to the group.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we have agreements. I think that's the foundational place to start. We have some core agreements, which are really standard. I don't think any of you would be surprised with these agreements. Confidentiality, building safety and trust, speaking for ourselves, standing up for ourselves, and holding that high vision. I think that's one that, or a few that we've added to this list because we are new thoughters, and that's the beauty of our community, is we already do this. We already hold that high vision. But then there's other, a lot of other things, like there's practices and there's skills, and then there's some other things like showing up fully, listening skills, taking responsibility and ownership for your part in the group, being authentic, accountability, acceptance, respect, compassion, using our voice. So it's just so many things, and I'm happy to get that to anybody or all of you if you'd like. I did put our website, www.newthoughtmens.community. That's our website, but you can contact me through there, through our contact page, and I'm happy to get any of this stuff to you. Because it is foundational. I think it's foundational for all groups, and we kind of do that already. But these tend to go a little bit more in depth to those, to be able to really clearly speak to how do we really provide safety. These days, we need it more and more to be our authentic self, to know that it's safe, to be the person that we are. And if we don't get that, we're only partially in. So I think that.
Do you then, as you're facilitating, do you find yourself referring back to the core agreements? How do they stay present in the members' minds?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I just did a video that we're going to put out on this, but there should be a regular, like every time I send out our reminder email, we do a Sunday night men's group, and every time I send that email out, that list goes with it, as well as the requirements for other safety, because there's online safety now, which is a whole different thing. So for us, we require video and audio on, so nobody can show up as anonymous. we also agree that there's no recording of any of it, so that we can be that authentic self. Yeah, and to be present for the full time. Oftentimes we're like, oh, I'll show up for a little while, but it's that commitment to really to show up for that 2 hour time frame and say, this is time for me in whatever you're doing, whether it's your personal growth, whether it's just your spiritual exploration, a class or whatever. I think to set the clear expectation that this is who we are and this is how we operate and this is what we do and these are our agreements, and there's guys who push the envelope, there's always that, and there always will be. And so to speak to it when, hey, we have these agreements, as you'll recall, and respecting everybody else's time and speaking and taking your 2 minutes to check in rather than your 6 minutes to check in. So, things like that we can set ourselves up for success. And I love that term. And I work that one as much as I can because I don't want to have to take time from the group. So we set it up in a way that it can just be referenced back to. And then we talk about it at least once a year. We want to talk about it. But there are so many agreements that you could actually spend, 6 months on all those agreements, just talking about them as a group. Oh, what does that mean? What do we need? What's important to us? Non-judgment, or, being here sober, or, just all of the things that require the health and well-being of a group. So
thank you. Thanks for taking the time with that.
Yeah, thanks for the question.
Beautiful.
Great one for sure.
Edwina, I see your hand up. Please, it's so good to see you here, by the way.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. I'm sorry I was a little bit late, but this is a really important subject for me. And Rev Eamon, thank you for what you're doing. We have a program for life skills for kids, social, emotional, and spiritual life skills for kids. And it's a very contextual program, a very inclusive program. And we're working on developing masculine and feminine energy, some positive kinds of skills that we can create a session around so parents can talk to their kids about what it means to be a healthy male. What does that mean? Characteristics, attributes, strength through peace through strength has become through peace through muscle, peace through bullying, as opposed to peace through strength of character. So our goal is to break down some of this stuff for younger kids, because at this point in our world, and I just learned this in the last few months, I did some presentations with Peril. And so, for example, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Andrew Tate, but he has a course online for middle school boys to how to become a man, right? And parents are paying $500 to send middle school boys to this very toxic kind of idea online. So, we all know how much we are all getting taken advantage of online. I mean, everybody's trying to separate us from our money and sway us. And I am really concerned about restoring our boys. I mean, I think there's a lot of work right now with women. And Rev Eamon, what you're doing is amazing. But what my concern is how do we start to push this forward? I know there are many men's groups out there like Illumin and stuff. How do we start to get the men involved in not just doing their own work, but getting them to a place where they are working with the young people online, where we create courses on how to become a healthy young man? What does that mean? What does that mean? And do you have a balance? Do you understand that you have some feminine hormones, some feminine energy in you, that doesn't make you whole to just be, pay attention to one side of it? So this is a huge subject for me. And it's really important because we have been struggling with trying to create some sessions around this, around the balance of balancing the divine feminine and masculine and the energies. So anything that you can give us to any materials, any courses, anything that you're doing, any thoughts that you have, I would be really grateful to hear.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Edwina. Actually, Michelle and I are doing a little workshop on Saturday, so I'm going to plug that for ANTN. You can go to antn.org and register for that if you'd like. It's about balancing the masculine and feminine. It's for adults, and I appreciate that you're, ideally, we would catch them, young boys as early as possible to support them in that. I think the challenge is, and for me and for groups that I've been a part of, I have seen so many groups that have done rites of passage type of work for young men and for teens especially. And it is such hard work, because if the men aren't doing their own inner work, then they show up and project onto the young men. And I've seen more than one rite of passage program just blow up because of stuff like this. And so I think the important part is for us to do our own inner work. And that's why, for me, this rite of passage work is actually very important. And it's really, we're working on our elderhood rite of passage program, our midlife rite of passage program, which I just kind of went through, as well as for young men in their 20s and 30s, those really formative years in the world. And then before, in the teenage years from 13 to 19, is probably one of the biggest times of change for boys and girls, or young men and young women, for sure. And so to have that support, to have that ongoing process that's happening, and it's not a one-time deal. I know as much as we love our weekend retreats, we want to do a weekend retreat and okay, we're good to go. But the truth is, this is about mentorship. This is about an ongoing process of mentoring young men and supporting young men through the process. So there is, even though we have been around for quite a while, we're really just kind of starting to hit our stride here and starting to move into these larger experiences of what we want to do. And certainly those rite of passage programs are a part of that. I can talk with you, Edwina, about some different resources that I do have. One is definitely there is an organization that does rites of passage programs, which is wonderful. And it's actually a conglomerate of different organizations that do rite of passage for different kids. And they're all kind of together under this one umbrella, which is great, because then you have all kinds of different rites of passages for boys, girls, for gay, lesbian, transgender kids, all kinds of different wonderful kind of places where kids would feel safe in that environment, and providing that safe environment for them. Even though we're not doing ours yet, because we have to build that infrastructure first. I don't want to do something, I never want to do something kind of halfway. And so for me to be able to start a teen rite of passage program, we have to have all those other programs up and running, and guys have to be doing that inner work like I spoke to. So I wish there was an easy answer. And yeah, sure, there's going to be unhealthy people who are promoting their stuff, like Andrew Tate, probably one of the most, he's indoctrinating people in hate right now, and he's not the only one doing it. Young men are being indoctrinated into that hate philosophy rather than the love philosophy, which we aspire, which we hold. And we're seeing this outpicturing with the being able to radicalize young men who maybe aren't happy with the situation or whatever, and turning that hate into it's them. they're to blame. It's those people. And if we don't, if we're not able to then communicate, hey, wait a minute, there is greater possibility here, and our philosophy has all this stuff in it. There is greater philosophy here, or greater understanding, wisdom that says, hey, when we take responsibility for our life, that's when we actually see the change. If we're trying to put that responsibility on someone else and say they're the ones who aren't allowing you to be, happy or abundant or, whatever it is, I think that therein lies the problem. And unfortunately, there's plenty of that out there right now, and has been for, quite a while, it seems, at least the last 10 years, and probably the last, 100 or 1,000 or whatever it is. So, Edwina, great question. There's so much to unpack there. We could spend a whole hour talking about this stuff for sure. Great. We'll discuss this further. Yeah, I'd love to connect with you and support you in any way that you can, as well as support each other. So love what you're doing. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Yeah,
So
I'd
necessary.
like to just throw in here, Edwina, particularly relevant to your question and your comments, that, again, this is not a self-promotion plug here, but we, Eamon and I are doing a balancing or expressing the divine masculine and feminine workshop on Saturday. And, he and I happen to know what the content is going to be. And I do think that there's some content in there, even though, yes, of course, this workshop is for adults, absolutely. But I think there's some content in there that you could pretty easily convert to work with kids, work with young. It works for, young boys or young girls. You just kind of change the languaging a little bit. It's inclusive work that we're going to be presenting. So there could be some things that I'd really encourage you to come to that if you're available, to be there on Saturday morning. It's 9:30 a.m. Pacific time to 12:30 or 12. antn.org is where you would register for it. But anyway, I think that there could possibly be some information in that you could take to and apply it to the work you're doing with your kids.
Thank you. Because we need to strip down all this elevated language to the most fundamental sorts essence, so that we can introduce these subjects before the kids and give them more of a real understanding. So I will be at the workshop. Can I sign up on the website?
Yeah, you can sign up on the website. Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much.
I think it's about providing that wisdom, but also providing the tools that we do in our community for men, to provide the wisdom, to provide the tools, to provide the support. It's a multi-pronged approach to be able to create success, to create happiness, to create support on those levels. And that's what we want to bring. It sounds like that's what you want to bring too. Beautiful stuff. Nick, how you doing?
Nick, and then
good to see you again.
Yeah, we had a nice conversation about the work you're doing back at the Anton conference. I'm glad I could make it here. I think you've already started to answer my question, but you talked about the challenges, and they include the challenges in the group mind that you want to take boys and young men out of. You talked about the challenges that can come up when you're running a group, like somebody trying to take it over, sort of thing. Well, my question was, have you had any really great successes? I'd love to hear about that. And that could be somebody just taking to this work and taking a leadership role, stepping into a leadership role, or just men who've made great transformations with the help of a group.
Yeah. Well, of course, lots of guys in our community. We've been doing the New Thought Men's community for over 10 years now. It originally started with the gathering, and we did that live pre-COVID. And so, we've had tons of guys show up and do the healing work, continue to be a part of it, being a part of what we're doing. that they say has changed their life. And for me as well, like, I mean, I've been doing this work for 30 years and still love it. Like, I love it. It is my joy. It is my happy place. It's my gift and my talent and my brilliance, my genius, my light shines through this. So for me, absolutely, it has been a life-changing, life-altering experience. For me, growing up as a neurodiverse kid and not being very successful in school and not knowing why, and then at 30 finding out that I was dyslexic. I think for myself, that came with a lot of baggage. And I think we all have a core wound of some kind, right? It's kind of hard to be on this planet Earth and not have something that we were gifted in some way. May not seem like a gift, but ultimately it comes back around. And when we do the healing work, then we get to bring our healed consciousness to that. And so for me, finding my creativity, finding my joy, finding the way my brain works, and it doesn't have to work the same way, other people's brains or the way that we're taught in school. I can't regurgitate facts. And if I ever spew out a date or a percentage or something like that, you probably want to double check it if that's important to you, because it's probably wrong, or reversed or whatever. Those aren't my strong suits, but being able to show up and be with people is. And they don't teach that in school, but that's what I learned, to be able to show up and be present, read the room, read the energy, and be able to fake my way through school. But what that did for me was brought about the gift of being able to work in communities, being able to work in groups of people, and being able to be empathetic and read it and support what's going on, maybe sometimes on an unconscious level. And so I think these woundings turn into our gifts, as many people have said before me, but I find that to be true for me as well. And so when we're able to do that healing work and find the gift in it, and it took some digging for me, it took me going back to ministerial school to really heal it. And that was 5 years of beautiful, torturous healing work. But it was wonderful, and I'm so much the better for it, to be able to have healed those wounds that have plagued me since, I got into school and those judgments came up. So there are many more stories of success, both for men and men's work, and I know for women and women's work, and doing that healing work together with other women. So powerful and so potent. I'm so happy that most, that I know of anyhow, most of our New Thought centers do have women's groups, which is awesome. And my hope is to bring men's groups to that as well, so that every center who wants one or can have one has one. And to make it easy, we have that plug and play kind of easy to do men's group where you just click a video and then have the discussion, and it builds over time. So, that's my joy and my vision, to be able to see men's groups in every single New Thought center, so that when, as we expand outward, as we share more with the world of who we are and what we're about, and I feel there's a real desire and calling for this right now, is that men will have a place to go and to be a part of community, to be a part of connection, and to be part of a local center, because there's nothing like sitting in a circle and talking live, getting hugs, hanging out, maybe having a barbecue, as Pjae said, eating, sharing a meal, and having some depthful conversation. So thanks for the question, Nick.
Thank you. Andrea. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Where'd you go? There you are. Okay.
I know, it moves around.
Just jumping around. So I know that your focus obviously is men and men's groups. And I was looking at the website and I noticed that you also have inclusivity, and family, or it's broader than that. So I wanted, if you could talk a little bit more about how there is the male focus as well as the inclusivity and how that works together, with
Yeah,
women.
thanks. Great question, Andrea. Yeah, well, there's some things that we do that are exclusively for men, and it's usually about growth work. So it's usually about getting into small groups and doing processing work and stuff like that. But like our summit, which was online and self-paced, so over 7 days, we had 32 different videos available, five videos every day that people could watch. We want women to know what it is we're doing. We want women to see what the things that men are struggling with, or the things that are inspiring to men, to be able to create that understanding that, hey, we're all just human beings here, right? On some level, we're all just growing, we're all learning, we're here to grow and learn. But another big piece of that is because, and myself included, I got involved in men's work because of a gal that I know. And she got me in touch with my first mentor, who then we started a men's group together. And for those women who are out there, those women who are on this call, and we'll see this later, about half the guys who come to men's work find it through the women who care about them, whether that's a brother or, a son or a partner, or, a friend at work who's really struggling, whatever. I think it's important for men to have that encouragement. I think even, it's like really imperative to have that support to say, hey, there's this men's group and maybe you ought to try it out. That level of encouragement that really can make the difference in a guy's life. And it has in my life. So I'm so grateful to the women, all the women who've supported me. I have 3 sisters, and my mom's still around. And so, yeah, I mean, to have that support from women is invaluable for men, I think, in general, and especially around this. And the Renew event, we've done this every year, and it's super fun. It's like the first Saturday after the new year, where we just do a little visioning, and then we create some vision posters or write stuff down. And so one of the guys asked if he could bring his daughters to it, and so we're like, yeah, of course, this will be fun. So we want to have that inclusivity, and we want people to know what we're doing. We're not trying to hide it, and I think a lot of men's work before has been kind of like, oh, behind the barrier, and no one can see, it's secret. And I think with everything that's going on right now, especially the unhealthy masculine doing stuff behind the wall, we want to have the things, as much as we can anyhow, out front, and saying, hey, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it, this is how we're doing it. To have that clarity for everyone, to have that transparency for our men, for the community, for the people in New Thought and beyond. So
and clearly you're having a session on Saturday that's talking about the masculine and the feminine. Is that some work that you also do, or is it really just the men's work and then celebratory, I guess, with men and women?
Well, I think, Andrea, it's always going to be more than that. I think there's a place where men's work and women's work comes together, and we get to do that healing work. No one's denying the fact that so much harm has been created in this world, for women and for men, and through women and through men. And so to do that healing work in a safe place, in a safe environment, and to have a man be able to speak and say, hey, I've never heard a man say, I love you unconditionally, or I support you fully, I support you in being who you are. These kinds of healing opportunities that are really exciting. And so when Michelle came to me, I'm like, yeah, do I want to do that? Of course I want to do that. That's a part of the 10-year vision, because we're not quite there yet, organizationally or infrastructure wise. But yeah, I do see that happening, because ultimately that's the thing, right? We see so much division now, and purposefully on political levels and maybe on social levels as well, separating men and women, separating, LGBTQ from everyone else, separating Black from white. All of these things are about separating and disempowering. And that's what I love about our philosophy, right? Oh, we're whole. Oh, what a concept. We're one. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So to be able to bring our philosophy to the practice of healing that we as humans need to do. We're already healed on that spiritual level, but we as humans need to do with the body, with the mind, with the heart. I think is the beautiful work that we have ahead for us. And Saturday, thank you, Michelle, for bringing me into that. Saturday is actually a showing of what is possible in that environment. So thanks, Andrea. Great questions.
I'm going to jump in here. We've got 4 minutes left. And Betty has her hand up. So Betty, can you ask a question in about 20 seconds? And Eamon, can you give an answer in about 30 seconds?
Oh, a short answer. What are you talking about? Okay, let's go. Ready, Betty. Oh, you're on mute.
You're muted, love.
No.
Okay, sorry, it took up a whole minute unmuting. I don't particularly have a question. I do training with a group in nonviolence, and we work in the prisons and in the community. And someone was asking about how do you keep the community agreements going? Well, one way is that we take in our short list of community agreements to build a safe environment in which to do the training. But we always invite the guys in a certain prison to tell us what else should we add to this. Yep. What do you do in this context then that helped you stay out of the hole, that also builds some safety in the prison? What does that mean? And so they have ownership of some of the rules. And when they have ownership, when somebody breaks them, if they like our group, which they do really appreciate our group, someone will stand up and say no, because that's going to make the wardens stop this group from coming in. And we need to continue to know as much as possible about nonviolence. So so that we as the trainers don't take over to reprimand or remind, it's the participants in the group, because they appreciate the work of the group.
Nice. Thank you.
Then I'd like to say, secondly, I watch a person on YouTube who talks about health and not eating meat and so forth. And then he became much more interesting even for me when he invited some male rappers, to come to his show and talk about what it means, two things about what in their music helps them to understand that as men, they can cry. Mm-hmm. What in their music helps them to understand that as men, they can focus on health and being whole. So
nice. Thank you, Betty. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you all so much for being here. Eamon, if 30-second wrap up, what would you like to say?
We're interested in building a sustainable world that works for all. That's it. I mean, that's the foundational piece in which we work. And this is the way in which our community can do that, can participate in that in a small way, and hopefully in a bigger way. So love it if you get in contact with me if you have a desire to. It's up here. Andrea put the click link in, newthoughtmens.community. And it's been a joy to be here with you all today. Yeah, really loved it.
Thank you so much. So quick reminder, this coming Saturday is our workshop. Yes, round of applause, round of applause. And then next Thought Leader Thursday will also be on the third Thursday instead of the last, because we're into the Christmas. So we will be meeting on the 19th of December, and Dr. Jerry Troyer, who is the president of Anton, will be our speaker. So we hope to see you all next, we hope to see you all Saturday, and then next, the 19th of December for Thought Leader Thursday. In the meantime, blessings to you all.